It's Wednesday and therefore it's Ask Lee Day. Alright, so if you have any questions, and I could do with some more questions, I think we've got 3 weeks left and then I need more questions. So if you have questions, please leave them in the comments below. Anything to do with magic, witchcraft, demonology, whatever it is. And I'll have a look at it in this segment on these videos. And if you're listening on the podcast, then you can go to anchor.fm/Lee W. Johnson, and you can actually leave a voice note there with your question. All right, so let's get into a couple questions. Welcome to my channel. You are entering the world of magic and mysticism with your host, Lee W. Johnson. Keep the lights on and help improve the channel by becoming a supporter for just $2.99 per month. Hit the join button. Okay, so first question today, I'll just grab it here, is from Fatass Squirrel. Within the context of dreams, how can you tell if a dream about being attacked by a spirit is an actual spirit influencing your dreams, or more a manifestation of anxiety or fear? This is actually a kind of a difficult question because it depends on your skill, your level of being able to dream. Dreaming is one of those things I've always battled with. So for somebody who it comes more naturally to, or has gone through specific training and have gotten to that point where their dreaming is quite advanced, quite skillful, they can easily recognize a lucid dream, this becomes a lot easier. For anyone else, can be a bit more difficult because the difficulty comes in when you wake up. So you can be dreaming, and it may not just be a normal, subconscious releasing of subconscious thoughts and fears and things like that. That type of dream, if we were to compare that to a dream, more of a what I'm going to call a lucid dream, probably the easiest way to separate those two or define those two. But what happens is you're in the dream. As soon as you wake up, your subconscious starts to fill in stuff. It starts to reinterpret symbolism. And the longer you leave that, the more the dream will start to kind of fade away, become less real. You might, halfway through the day, you might think back to the dream and think, was it that or was it that? Because the subconscious just remolds everything. So when you do wake up, you're going to have all of that stuff being changed, being filtered, being molded into something different. So this is why part of the training for lucid dreaming and dreaming itself is to immediately, as you wake up, jot down stuff in a notebook. And it doesn't need to be an exact story of what happened. You can jot down important aspects, important symbols within it, emotions, feelings that you had, impressions that you got. Just put down whatever it is, whatever comes to mind, just jot it all down. And then through that, over time and doing that, you start to it's almost like the subconscious kind of recognizes the act, and instead of filling in the blanks, it will allow a space of time to allow you to do this, because you are taking the symbolism straight from the dream and putting it directly into a written word, which you can then view and your subconscious cannot intercede. So, this is probably one of the best ways to help you with that practice of lucid dreaming. So how do you recognize the difference? It's going to depend on intensity of the dream, the lucidity of the dream. You'll probably know that you'll recognize that when you come out of certain dreams, they're fuzzy, they're fadey. Other dreams will be so strong. You wake up and you have these intense emotions. Some of them you want to go back into, some of them you just want to run away from. But these intense emotions, and this is an indication of an extremely lucid dream. So, we can use that as a gauge to figure out if it was an actual spirit that was in your dream, or whether it was your anxiety and fears which were creating that imagery. And this is the other thing, when you're in the dream, it could be completely different to what the interpretation your subconscious gives it when you come out. So you may be running away from something in your dream, and then when you come out, in your dream itself, it could be an astral parasite. But when you come out, your subconscious could start filling stuff in and saying it was a demon, or it was a spirit, a fae, something that was trying to attack you. And quite possibly that could be the case. In the dream, it could have been some kind of learning experience that you needed, but coming out of the dream, the subconscious starts to fill things in, and it kind of interprets the whole thing as an attack. So the easiest way to determine the difference between the two would be to actually train yourself and get more proficient at lucid dreaming. It's that whole subconscious interpretation that happens upon waking that changes everything within the dream. So we can't properly say whether it was one thing or the other, because the subconscious has just altered everything. So that's probably the best way to do it, is to actually train yourself in lucid dreaming, get more proficient at it, and then when you do wake up, there's less of that filtering, less of that reinterpretation that the subconscious does in that instance. So as I said, very difficult question to answer, because it depends on the person who is having the dream and having that experience, their level of proficiency in lucid dreaming itself, where they are at in that particular training, and how much the subconscious is actually reinterpreting and remolding everything from the dream into something which is more recognizable, something which the subconscious is more comfortable with. Yeah, very difficult to answer that question on a general basis anyway. Alright, so let's get into the next question, which was from Love. Who do you work with? Or do you have a video of you explaining your deities and practice? Okay. Who? I work with a lot of spirits, actually, and it depends on what's going on at the time. On a constant basis, I would have to say Hecate, Pan, and Lucifer. And, when we say work with, depends how we interpret that as well. Work with could be actively participating in a particular working to attain a particular goal. I suppose it would be the same thing, really. The other thing I was going to say was work with could be a long-term goal, your entire lifetime and beyond, to attain knowledge, to I don't want to say reach enlightenment, we do that all the time, but ascend even. I don't like this whole ascension descension thing. We expand, we become more aware. So that lifetime activity, that lifetime pursuit of the truth. There we go. So in that regard, in that lifetime pursuit of the deities and the spirits which are with me all that time, giving me knowledge, helping me with my practice of awareness, would be Hecate, Pan, and Lucifer. on a more immediate basis and time to time, I work a lot with the Goetia spirits. I've always found them to be amiable towards me. I've always found them to be there when I need them. When I've got a problem, when I need something quickly, when I need to increase something, create more abundance and things like that, then I immediately go to the Goetia spirits, really. Any ones in particular? Marvas I work with for healing. Boone, I just love Boone. Boone's one of my absolute favourite spirits. Let's see. AIM I work with from time to time. If it is sex magic, I will often work with Sea Tree, just to increase the energy of the sex magic itself. And also moving forward, I'll probably work with some other of the Goetia spirits. But I do seem to focus a lot on the Goetia, which is why I'm doing Demon of the Week and focusing on the Goetia itself. But I do work with other spirits, especially on a financial basis. Belphegor, Belial, Mammon. But those are definitely more long term. So I think we can actually split this into 3 periods of time if we want to, time's not real. But if we do extreme long term, so over a lifetime, would be Hecate, Pan and Lucifer. Over a long period of time, it could be regarding my business, for instance, and that could span 10-20 years. Then I would work with spirits like Mammon, Belphegor, Clawneck even. Clawneck is more of an immediate spirit, bringing you things quickly, so let's stick with Mammon and Belphegor there. And Boone. Well, Boone comes from the Goetia. I'm just trying to remove my thoughts away from the Goetia and remember which other spirits I work with, or demons. So in that regard, that long-term business aspect would be Mammon and Belphegor. But then the more immediate stuff which is short-term, maybe a month or 2 or even a year, up to a year I'd say, would be the Goetia spirits, the Jinn. I think that's it. And then of course we have other spirits which are not deities, which are not Jinn, which are not any of those things, spirit guides. My holy guardian angel. I mean, the one spirit that I work with the most on a permanent basis would be myself, and my holy guardian angel, or my divine self. But there's also spirit guides. When I do journey work, I have my fetch beast, and I also have particular spirit guides which help me along. I'm not going to say their names or anything like that because that is personal, very personal. So I think, it depends on the work you're doing, depends on the work I'm doing, and it depends if it's a tangible thing as opposed to astral or spiritual thing. If it is journey work, there are particular spirits there. If it is trying to attain abundance, help with business, things like that, there are certain spirits there. If it's knowledge, attaining awareness, bringing yourself into union with divine self and things like that, there are spirits that I work with there. So there's a lot of different spirits that I work with. I think that gives you a kind of a good idea though. Alright, so that's this week's Ask Lee segment, and as I said, if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments and I will add them to the list, which is starting to dwindle. Okay, so I'll see you next week. Have a good weekend and a week until then. Cheers for now. Bye bye.